Hi everyone, this is Mix from Sneaks and Ball PH, and today we have the full performance review on the Adidas Trae Young 1. Before we get started, if you do like the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you have any comments, questions, or any suggestions for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below as well. Then I'll also be leaving a link to the SNBPH Sneaker Hunters Facebook group in the description box, so I do hope you can join us over there because that is a place where we talk about sneakers and basketball quite a bit. And it's also where we have the SNBPH Steel Cabinet, where I take some shoes that I no longer use, or some shoes that I've reviewed in the past, and put them up for bidding at way below market value. Then if you haven't already, please do make sure to sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. So with that out of the way, let's get into the full performance review on the Trae Young 1. Like I said in my detailed review or first impressions video, I am definitely not a Trae Young supporter, mostly because I am a Sixers fan, so I'm definitely still super salty about the way last season ended, but I really can't deny that Trae Young is a super talented player, and I also can't deny that this Trae Young 1 is actually one hell of a shoe. So to get it started with the performance review, let's start off with the traction. The Trae Young 1 does have a combination of some tried and true traction pattern, with some aggressive herringbone here at the forefoot, these horizontal lines here at the midfoot, and this radial pattern here at the heel. I did initially think that these would perform pretty well, but when I actually was able to take these out on court and play a few games, it was actually even better than I expected. Like I said, the herringbone is super aggressive, so you kinda just stop on a dime. And I never really cleaned my outsole. As you can see, there is a little bit of dirt, but it really didn't affect the traction much at all. The traction was also super good in all directions because there is a radial pattern at the heel, and in the forefoot where you have that herringbone, it actually is diagonal, so you really get good coverage whether you're moving front to back, side to side, or along a diagonal. So for the traction, the bite or the grippiness is just superb, and it also doesn't really have an issue in terms of dust because it still grips even though it's dirty. But the only issue that I can see people having with the shoe is if they use these outdoors, because the grooves are a bit on the soft side, so if you play primarily outdoors, you might run through these pretty quickly. And because of that, I'm gonna have to give the traction of the Adidas Trae Young 1 an A. I was definitely super close to give this an A+, because like I said, the bite is crazy, but just the fact that I think if you play outdoors, these will get worn down pretty quickly, I just had to knock it down a point for that. Then moving on to the cushion, the Trae Young 1 makes use of a full-length Lightstrike midsole with a boost puck or crash pad here at the heel. This was definitely one of the parts of the shoe that I was really excited for because I do like the Lightstrike on the name series, and I also really love Boost, whether it's on basketball shoes, on running shoes, or lifestyle shoes. And I was just hoping that Adidas implemented it well because, you know, it could look nice on paper and not deliver. But thankfully enough, the cushion didn't only seem good on paper, but it also felt amazing on court. This actually for me is a perfect guard setup because you are pretty low to the ground, especially here in the forefoot, but you also have some nice plushness and impact protection, especially here at the heel. If you are a heavy heel striker, that boost will really help a lot. Or if you're a player like Trae Young or maybe like Steph Curry, wherein you're a point guard but you really shoot a lot, so you're rolling into your shot quite a bit, you're also gonna really love this shoe because there is just such a natural progression from heel to toe with that boost in the back and the full-length Lightstrike. So overall, I think the cushion is perfect, especially if you are a guard or a wing, because the cushion is pretty responsive and stable and low to the ground as well, while still giving you some nice bounce back, a comfortable ride, and plenty of impact protection, especially here at the heel. So overall, for the cushion, I'm gonna have to give it an A. Once again, I was super close to giving it an A+ for the cushion, but I did knock it down a point because I feel like if you are a more powerful player or a more massive player or a big man, you might want a little bit more cushion because like I said, this is a perfect guard setup. But if you are used to like LeBron shoes or like the Zoom GT Run, which I would consider some max cushion shoes, then this might not be perfect for you. Then moving on to materials, the Trae Young 1 does have a fully textile upper, which is definitely not the most premium feeling thing in the world, but it is definitely better than some other shoes shoes, like the materials they put on the Kyries, and even the materials that they put on the PG5, which are shoes that are in a pretty similar price range as the Trae Young one. The textile upper doesn't seem too glued down, and it also isn't super plasticky, but it is reinforced with some additional stitching on top. The materials also get better and softer the more you wear them, and now that I've broken these in, it actually feels pretty good on foot and really flexes well with all your movements. I also like those cuts of suede that they put here on the vamp on the lacing, here on the ice, the lateral and medial side overlays here at the toe, and here at the heel tab. The suede parts are all pretty much intact, and the upper doesn't really show that many signs of wear. So overall, I think the upper isn't just comfy, but it seems pretty durable as well. Of course, only time will tell how long this upper will actually last, but it does seem pretty well constructed and it's not too thick nor is it too thin. So overall, for the materials, I'm gonna have to give the Trae Young one an A. The only reason why I couldn't give it an A+ is because that textile upper isn't premium, but aside from that, the materials do feel really comfortable around your foot. They move and flex really well with all of your movements. You have some premium touches with those suede overlays, and the upper is also pretty durable. Then moving on to the support, the Trae Young one doesn't have any out-of-this-world support features, and just has pretty much all of your standard support features, like a torsional plate here at the midfoot for some torsional support, an internal heel counter, and a nice sculpted midsole to keep your foot on the footbed. You also have a nice and wide staple base, which is pretty much to be expected with all Adidas shoes. And overall, even if the shoe feels pretty minimal, I never really thought I lacked support. We do have to keep in mind though that this was made for Trae Young and it is pretty much a guard shoe, so I do feel like even though there is nice sculpting and good containment, and the upper barely stretches out on side-to-side movements, a larger and more explosive player might want a little bit more in terms of support. So for the support, I'm gonna have to give the Adidas Trae Young one an A. Then moving on to fit and lockdown, this definitely was where I was most skeptical because first of all, for fit, Adidas kinda has their sizing all over the place. So I got these in my size 10 and it surprisingly does fit through the size. Then for the lockdown as well, I did have my doubts because you just have a one booty upper. And the laces don't actually do much on the shoe. You can actually remove the laces and play in them without them because you really don't need them because most of the lockdown comes from that one piece upper. And it actually does feel like you're playing in the Adidas Next Level, which was Adidas's laceless shoe. So of course I would have my doubts because laces are pretty standard, but it did also have surprisingly good lockdown. I never really had any problems. I was pretty locked into the shoe. My shoe never came off and I didn't have any heel slippage. And my foot also wasn't moving around in the shoe. Then like I said, it did fit me through the size. So that's definitely what I would recommend if you have a narrow foot or a normal width foot. But if you have a wide foot, since it is a one-piece upper, you might want to go up half a size or up full size, just because it's gonna be pretty hard getting in the shoe. So overall for fit and lockdown, I'm gonna have to give it an A+. Overall, it just fits around your foot really nice. And the lockdown is really surprising because the laces don't do anything, but it does seem like the design team knew what they were doing because it does fit well and the lockdown is on point. Then moving on to the overall aesthetics of the shoe, I must admit the shape of the shoe is still pretty weird, and when you have it in hand like this, or even if you put it on foot the first time, kind of looks super long, and it mostly is because you just have two sets of eyelets and the cut of the shoe is super low. So it definitely does have a bit of a clown shoe vibe because it looks so big, even when, like I said, I went through the size. The shape of the shoe definitely takes some getting used to, and it still isn't like my favorite design, but at least for the colorways of the shoe, they've all been pretty sick. Like you had the So-So Def colorways, you had the icy colorway, and then you had this cotton candy colorway, and they've all been super dope in my opinion because they all kind of have their own vibe to it. Like this is the cotton candy one, which has a really nice blue to pink gradient, and it looks pretty killer on court. So I guess it really is just like a balancing act because I really love the colorways, but I don't really like the shape. So I think in terms of the overall aesthetics, I'm gonna have to give it a B+. I definitely just can't get behind the shape in terms of the aesthetics because I've had this shoe for quite a bit now, and still when I hold it in my hand, it just looks super long and super boat-like. So even with the sick colorways, B+ is kind of the highest I could go. Then moving on to the price, the Adidas Trae Young 1 retails for 6,500 pesos here in the Philippines or $140 US. It definitely is in that lower price tier in terms of signature shoes, so I would group it along with the PG5, the Kyrie 7, the Dawn Issue number 3, the Why Not 04, and also the Dame 7. Out of all of the shoes that I mentioned in its price range, I think this might be the best value just because it was pretty much all A's across the board in my opinion, except for the aesthetics because like I said over and over again, the shape. But it definitely is one of the best shoes this year, and it's the best Adidas basketball shoe of 2021. Of course, you do have the Hardens and Dames coming pretty soon, so It might change, but as of now, I think this is the king of Adidas. It is amazing given the price point because I think it's just such a value for money, especially since I just ordered the LeBron 19s and those are worth an arm and a leg. So I guess in the end, all I'm saying is that in terms of price, I'd give this an A+. So there you have it guys, that was my full performance review on the Adidas Trae Young 1. Once again, if you liked the video, please make sure to leave a thumbs up down below. Then if you haven't already, please do make sure to sub to the channel because it really does help us out quite a lot. And as always, whether you're looking for that retail win or you're pulling up from the logo, just keep on hunting.